Last but not least, let me welcome here Mr. Aleš Eppinger and Stephanie Su, or are you? Su. Very well. Mr. Aleš Eppinger is from the law firm Schaffer & Partner, who Tomáš has already told you that they are the only firm in the Czech Republic who has a Chinese desk, and they specialize in this kind of market, but the close introduction is going to be held by Aleš Eppinger.
Thank you very much. My name is Aleš Eppinger. I am a lawyer and founding partner of Schaffer & Partner Advisory Group, and I'm also a lawyer in the Schaffer & Partner legal attorney at law office, which is associated with the Schaffer & Partner International Advisory Group. I'm very delighted, and I have to thank you very much to organizers to have the opportunity to speak to you. On one hand, my job is very tough now because I need to entertain you before the lunch as a last speaker. On the other hand, I'm delighted to be in the second part, or in the second group of speakers, which was called by Tomáš Hülle as a business speaker, because we are a business company and we advise our clients in terms of penetration into the markets, etc. So my speech, I hope, will be as fast, as efficient as our firm works. I would like to give you some basic overview from Czech point of view, which points are necessary to take into consideration when investing in China. I just used a very simple case study of Mr. Novák. Mr. Novák, for my Chinese colleagues and friends, this is the typical Czech name, like, for instance, Mr. Zhang or Mr. Cheng in China. So we use this name as a name for examples. So Mr. Novák has a successful business in the Czech Republic. He's successful in Europe as well. And he met just his Chinese business partner, and the business partner from China tried to persuade him, let's go to China, let's invest there in a joint entrepreneur activity, because Mr. Novák has a unique know-how. So my speech would be about what you as a Czech entrepreneurs need to take into consideration before you enter the Chinese market. So as I said, Mr. Novák has a great business opportunity in China because he has a unique know-how. But of course, China is not the Czech Republic. You need to travel there. So firstly, you need to take into consideration how you can get there and which formalities you need to somehow fulfill in order to be able to have there the business negotiations and the start of business activity. There is a visa duty, both sides, Czech Republic, China. Whereas the Czech Republic just, last year introduced a very, I would say, efficient rules for foreign entrepreneurs coming to the Czech Republic by launching so-called VIP fast track. In China, as far as I know, there is nothing similar, but there is something what we call 72-hour visa-free transit, which we very often use for our clients coming to Asia, not only to China but to Asia. Making there an Asia trip. This 72-hour visa-free transit means that in case you, as an entrepreneur, has more business appointments in Asia, not only in China, but also in Malaysia, in other countries, you can plan your business trip so that you can use this unique opportunity not to apply for a normal typical visa in China if you use this multiple entrance Asian business trip. So the precondition is that you have your flight booked through China to other Asian countries, and the second precondition is you are just somehow present in a particular city like Beijing or Shanghai, where this 72-hour visa-free transit is allowed. The second thing that you need to take into consideration is these formalities like arrival card or reporting duty, which means it goes automatically when you are going to China. You just fill in the appropriate forms, and if you are a normal tourist or if you are not intend to stay in China for a longer time, then these formalities are mainly done automatically by hotels, etc. What is very important to take into consideration is appropriate health insurance, because the quality and the, I would say, costs for health treatment in China varies significantly based on city, based on region, based on province. So certainly, if we are advising our clients when coming to China, we always put emphasis to the correct health insurance, which is really, as I said, crucial in order to avoid any troubles. So Mr. Novak has now all formalities behind him, and now he wanted to somehow consider if it really is worth making the investment in China for his business activity. So firstly, what is necessary to consider is generally assess its business, assess whether the project can be successful in China, who are the competitors, whether the market is fragmented or the market is consolidated. I would say that this assessment is the most crucial one for you as a Czech entrepreneurs when coming to China. My colleagues, presentators who recently presented their experience with the Chinese market, they already emphasize some crucial points, like, for instance, that you need to take into consideration a different culture, different mentality. I'm always advising our clients, please don't be scared of different behavior of your Chinese business partners. It's normal. If your Chinese business partner says maybe, it can mean no. So please don't attack him week by week with emails, trying to squeeze him, trying to push him to get the answer, because the Chinese simply, they don't like to say no. They just say maybe, but it means no in most cases. So there is the different mentality also, which each Czech investor needs to take into consideration. Our Chinese desk is prepared to help you with that, and I'm very glad that my colleague Stephanie Xu is here with us, and she will be giving the very short presentation after me. So you can ask her, you can contact her in order to maybe understand a little bit more about the Chinese environment and business opportunities. And of course, a legal and tax assessment is very, very important. This is my part of business because I'm a lawyer, so I will be telling you something more in next slides. Firstly, there is a different taxation, of course, between the Czech Republic and the China. I would say, thanks God, we have some very good tool how to optimize, how to somehow structure your Chinese investment properly, because we have an agreement on prevention of double taxation, which is a very useful tool how to decrease your taxation when making an investment in China. This agreement is relatively new agreement. It comes from 2011, and a lot of our clients already used the opportunity to optimize their revenues coming from China based on this specific agreement. Of course, China has a quite common tax system. There are income taxes for natural persons and legal entities. This is just very brief overview of taxes. So you can see in general in China the taxes are a little bit higher than here in the Czech Republic, especially natural persons. You can see the progressive rates varies from 5 to 35% in China, whereas the legal entities the taxation lies with 25% of income tax, and whereas some specific legal entities like semi-state or half state-owned companies, they have even lower corporate taxes. As far as employees are concerned, I would just point out the health and social insurance, which is quite high and varies from 20 to 30% of the wage. Of course, VAT system exists in China. The basic rate is 17%, but there are a lot of reduced rates, for instance, for food, for instance, for a lot of services. And the reduced rates varies from 0 to 13%. So it's time to choose the right form. Mr. Novak is now standing in the junction, and he's looking right, left. What would be the best option to start a business activity in China? Some opportunities has been mentioned already by Gary in the previous presentation. So I will just pick up the first one, which is the most relevant one from my perspective as a Czech lawyer. And this is the usage of a trade agent or distributor. What is the main difference between trade agent and distributor is clear. Distributor, in principle, owns the goods and try to sell the goods on the Chinese market, and the trade agent is a person who is somehow representing you on the Chinese market. My experience regarding this trade agent or distributorship in China is following. A lot of Czech clients are trying to use the distributors, but the distributors in China, it's a very long journey, very long way to really get the correct, the appropriate business partner, because of course distributor is taking the risk that he somehow gain the profit or the margin just based on the difference between the selling and purchase price. And of course, even for Chinese distributors, it's very tough to succeed on the market, which is quite competitive. So a lot of Czech companies, they have just the opportunity to use the trade agents. And then, of course, we are speaking about negotiations with trade agents. Because trade agents, if you don't have very specific relationship to your trade agent, I would never advise you to give them the exclusive right to represent your brand on the Chinese market. There are a lot of, I would say, unsuccessful stories when the not only Czech, but I mean European companies try to somehow launch the business activities based on trade agent cooperation, but unfortunately there were some IP rights infringement, etc. So it is very tough, and the crucial point for the Czech investors to find the correct trade agents. And again, I'm delighted to say that we are able to help you in this task as well. The second issue, or the second maybe not issue, maybe the way how you can penetrate the Chinese market is a representation office. A representation office is a very, simple way how to establish some business presence on Chinese market. It is essentially to know that the representation office is not a legal entity. So it means it has no legal, it is not a legal subject. It cannot issue invoices. It cannot enter into contracts. But it's an easy way how to somehow structure your presence in China without the necessity to set up a real company. Wholly owned foreign enterprise has been mentioned by Gary, so just very quickly, this is a typical daughter company you can set up in China. There is a difference, of course, between Chinese and a Czech setup procedure, whereas the Czech setup procedure is very formalistic. If you just fill all the necessary precautions, all the necessary conditions. The setup procedure is very fast, takes the Czech commercial register like 5 days, and everything is very smooth and fast. Whereas in China, the wholly owned foreign enterprise means that you need to fill a little bit more conditions for the setup, and there is a bigger interference of Chinese authorities in the setup procedure. And of course, the last but not least opportunity how to penetrate the Chinese market is a joint venture. Joint venture is advisable, especially in cases when you are not very familiar with the Chinese business and if you are trying to penetrate in sectors where the foreign investment are prohibited to be let's say in the position of the wholly owned foreign enterprise. So Mr. Novák needs to decide which way he should go. And there is a difficult, unique, or there is a difficult, let's say, universal rule to advise him. Me as an advisor, I would always listen to him for many, many hours in order to be able to understand what are the plans, because Mr. Novák should plan the business activities not just for 1 year. The plans should be somehow taken into consideration for a longer time. What makes the investment easier in China for us as a Czech entrepreneurs? We have some bilateral agreements which are effective. The first agreement comes from 1957. This is a very formal treaty. It declares just the friendship nature of both countries, so there is nothing substantial for Czech entrepreneurs. Whereas the second one, the consular agreement from 1988, is much more important for Czech entrepreneurs, because using specific procedures which are stipulated in this consular agreement, it somehow makes easier to verify documents, to verify signature, to make verified copies, etc. And the formalities, which are in China are quite tough, you can somehow circumvent or somehow make it more faster using the specific provisions of that consular agreement. And there are two agreements, two bilateral treaties, quite new one. First is from 2006, which is the agreement on the protection or promotion and protection of investments, and that somehow stipulated that Mr. Novák, as the investor, he should be treated as a Chinese national. So there should be no discrimination. There should be the position of Mr. Novák as an entrepreneur should be the same as he would be a Chinese. So if, for instance, it prohibits to expropriate the assets of Mr. Novák, this treaty also secures the smooth financial transactions between Czech Republic and China. And the last but not least is the agreement on prevention of double taxation, which I mentioned already before. And it means that we have some very good tools how we can structure the investment of the Czech entrepreneur in China in order to reduce or even avoid the taxation, or at least some tax negative effects. Mr. Novák business in China is still growing. That's a good story. So it means he succeeded. And sometimes it means that in such cases, the entrepreneurs are not so cautious in terms of the assessment of his or their client's solvency. So what happened is that, of course, there are some problems with the repayment of debts. And I don't want to bother you with the concrete figures, concrete information, because we already had a very nice presentation about the arbitration and judicial issues in China. Just very brief figures. The average duration of the enforcement of claim in China, according to IBR data, is 406 days. According to my experience, this is quite optimistic figure, but this is the official one. Concerning the costs, 11.1% of the value of the claim are spent just for lawyers, just for court fees, etc. Again, according to my experience, this figure is, I would say, a little bit optimistic when taking into consideration my concrete experience. Of course, we as a Czech entrepreneurs, we are always in the position to determine whether Czech or Chinese law should be decisive for the joint venture, for contracts, agreements with your Chinese partners. So mainly both options are possible, Chinese and Czech law, both options are possible, but you need to take into consideration, of course, why you are signing in written the contracts, because, and it has been already said by Tony, Chinese courts, they are formalistic. They prefer to have the evidence in written. So of course you are writing, you are drafting and signing the contracts in written just in case you need an evidence for the court. And of course, if you are suing a Chinese business partner for breaching contract, you need to bring the evidence. So rather theoretically, you can bring there a contract with a Czech law decisive, but according to my experience, it makes no sense. It makes really no sense to have the Czech law decisive for the dispute. I mean, in general, choosing a Chinese law brings you more security in case you really need to enforce your claims before Chinese courts. Of course, the question about the arbitration has been already covered by the speaker before me. So just very briefly, yes, in some cases we advise our clients to go this arbitration way, mainly because we think that the enforcement possibilities in China are very good. China is a party of the multilateral treaties enabling enforcement of the arbitration rulings. On the other way, it can happen, and I know one case of the Czech company who has the claim, and the claim has been solved by the arbitrational court in Stockholm, in Sweden. Everything went perfectly. There were no obstacles. I mean, the ruling was okay, the judgment okay. And then, when coming into ultimate phase, so it means enforcement of that arbitration award in China, for some reason I really cannot understand, the Chinese court refuses to enforce such a arbitration award. With the grounding, it was against the order public. Order public is a very, I would say, a broad term, which can be used on many ways. But in this particular case, our clients were not able to enforce the judicial or the arbitrational award just with this justification. So for me, it was a big surprise, and of course, it prevented me many times to advise the clients to go for this arbitrational way because of the enforcement problems. Of course, the obligations can be secured. The most common way is a contractual penalty, but what does it mean, contractual penalty? It means just a specific provision in the contract, but of course you have to have the assets available for that security, so the contractual penalty itself cannot cover and secure that. From my point of view, an advance payment is a very common and very often used security mechanism. And of course, it is up to the negotiations how strong you are to persuade the contractual party to go for this advance payment. There are, of course, some other ways how to secure the obligations, like letter of intent or the insurance of receivables. But all these possibilities somehow make the procedure more expensive. So about us, about me, I have already said that I am a partner of a Schaffer & Partner group. So what is the biggest difference of our firm against the others? We have the broad portfolio of services. We are not only lawyers, we are business advisors. We have the audit department, we have tax department and accounting department. And last but not least, we have also a Chinese desk, which is headed by Stephanie Su. And she will be speaking now briefly about herself and her services. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aleš. So because the time is quite limited, so I will just use like 2 minutes, just make the happy ending so that everyone could enjoy the lunch and some social conversations. So I'm the head of our Asia desk. So if you want to practice some Chinese, for example, how to pronounce my name, it's Xu instead of Xu. So anyway, so just call me Stephanie will be fine. And besides the scope of service that Aleš mentioned, that I know that actually for the European people to have business with Chinese, there's a long distance to go. And as the previous speakers mentioned about, sometimes or in most of the case, the communication, the cultural difference might delay the business, meaning delay the crucial timing. So actually, if you are planning something in Chinese or already ongoing, that we are happy to arrange you some private meetings or just provide you some brainstorming or some tips about how to negotiate with your Chinese partners, vice versa. So I think generally with the support from the experts and the promised prosperous business in China, I think there's way to go, but it's quite positive and prosperous. So, and here I'm wishing you to have a great lunch later and a good business in China. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. It's been an amazing morning having you here. I hope you have learned something new about China or answered your questions during breaks. And if you have any more questions, some of our guests are still available. Otherwise, have a great day and wish you the pleasant rest of the week.